courtroom truth dismantles years of hidden control. The courtroom felt unreal, not because it was intimidating, but because it was the first place in my life where power didn't automatically belong to them, where their tone, their authority, their carefully curated image didn't decide what was true. And as I sat there, listening to my parents speak with the same calm confidence they had used my entire childhood, explaining their actions as concern, discipline, sacrifice, I recognized every sentence because I had lived inside those explanations for years, had swallowed them until I doubted my own memory, my own reactions, my own pain. And what struck me most was how convincing they sounded to strangers. How easily control dresses itself as love when it's spoken slowly and without emotion. But this time, their words were no longer floating in private spaces where doubt could be planted and erased at will. This time, they were measured against timelines, messages, school records, therapy notes, witness statements, patterns documented instead of denied. And as each piece of evidence surfaced, it became painfully clear that what I endured wasn't strict parenting or misunderstandings. It was sustained psychological pressure, isolation framed as protection, fear disguised as guidance, and the courtroom stripped away the intimacy manipulation relies on, turning repetition into intent and patterns into proof. And watching that happen was both terrifying and validating, because it forced me to confront how deeply normalized the abuse had been, how often I had been told I was too sensitive, ungrateful, dramatic, when in reality I was responding exactly as anyone would under constant control. And when it was finally my turn to speak, there was no anger left to fuel my words, only clarity. Because anger belongs to the past, and this moment was about truth, about saying out loud the things I was never allowed to finish at home, about describing how fear became routine, how guilt became automatic, how love always felt conditional and easily revoked. And the room listened in a way my parents never had, not interrupting, not correcting, not reframing, just listening. And that silence did something irreversible. It shifted the balance. Because for the first time, my experiences weren't being debated or minimized, they were being acknowledged. And I saw it in the small changes on my parents' faces, the confusion when their explanations stopped working, the discomfort when authority failed to command belief, the quiet panic of realizing they no longer controlled the narrative. And the verdict itself, while important, almost felt secondary to that moment, because the real judgment had already happened. Their version of events no longer held unquestioned power. And when I walked out of the courtroom, I didn't feel victorious or relieved in a dramatic way. I felt steady, as if something that had been weighing on my spine my entire life had finally been lifted. Because revenge doesn't always look like punishment. Sometimes it looks like documentation, recognition, and truth spoken in a room where it cannot be silenced. And that day didn't give me a new life, but it gave me something far more important: the certainty that what I lived through was real.